Hi, everybody. It's Craig from Doc Sports. Back with Doc's Daily Tuesday edition. Tuesday, April 29th, last Tuesday of April. And my favorite holiday is upon us, the Saturday, first Saturday of May. Run for the Roses. Kentucky Derby's just a few days away. So we're going to be talking about that come Friday. So make sure you stay tuned on that. We'll have Robert in on Friday. But to get you to that point and build that bankroll, we got some MLB. We got a full slate of NBA tonight and some NHL plays, big NHL slate as well in the playoffs tonight. So we're going to have tons of free plays. No Griffin today, but the other half, the Chicago brothers, is here. Nick Menken pulling it up. Nick, any big plays for us tonight?
Yeah, we got a big play. We got a 6-unit in the NBA that goes off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In my last 16 plays, we're 13-3 on a really good run here, up over $3,500. So make sure to check that out. It's part of a 2-pack tonight. And looking to bounce back on the diamond, we went 0-2 yesterday. Had the Detroit Tigers there. They started good, but just could not figure it out in those later innings. But we're looking to bounce back on the diamond, 2-pack in as well, a 1 play in the NHL with 4 games in the NHL and NBA, Craig. So we got a full slate of games here.
All right. I got a special for you to get on. Tony, you have a 7-unit play, right, today? Tell them about the 7-unit play.
Yeah, I have one in the NBA tonight. Yes, I do. Just
big one.
No hype.
Swinging?
No hype. I'm 0-4 my last 4. Tell it like it is. Just been getting stung with some of these, but the free plays on video are killing it, and the premiums, unbelievable. I had the first half line for free last night in the Cleveland game. Of course, you know they've been crushing. Should have been a 12-unit, but nonetheless, decided to shut. You know what? I've been doing this 33 years, Craig. You know this. You've been doing it for over 20 plus. No matter how you're running. You know a good thing when you see it.
Yeah.
You know, so here we are.
Yeah, so get the Tony 7-unit or Nick or anybody, Derby 10, saves you 10% off all week long. So make sure you use that. Several guys 7-unit. I have a 7-unit MLB today, a little smaller in hockey and I really liked an NBA play, but, you know, last night my unbelievable run ended. So I was like, I was going to fire again 7-unit. And I was like, I'm going to back off because some days, you know, you're seeing it really well. And all of a sudden it's just like you whiff one night. I lost by 1 last night with the Warriors. So a little bigger, smaller play in NBA and NHL. But use this promo code all day long over at DocSports.com. I think somebody told me they're going to have the Derby passes. I will talk about that later in the week because I'm not sure about that. I'll verify that before I put it out there. But
I was just going to say, you know, I'm not a pony fan, and every year I go down to the Ozarks for a golf tournament. I've been doing it for 30 years. This is always Kentucky Derby weekend, and I will tell everybody that I go down there and I wager with some guys. And I get Raphael's package every year. And he's got a bunch of picks on his package there. Raphael Esparza right here from Doc Sports. And I beat them all. I take their money every year. And I'll tell you, he'll be emailing me that sucker on Saturday morning. So I just tell everybody, if you like betting the ponies and you don't have Raphael in your arsenal, you're effing up.
Well, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag a little bit. Don't forget, like and subscribe before I forget about that. But Doc's got a Kentucky Derby betting guide, just like we did the March Madness betting guide. It will be out, I believe, later today, if not tomorrow. So we'll have a little link tomorrow on the show. It's free. It'll break down every horse, kind of give you, if you don't know how to bet sports, horses, it'll talk to you about that and then give you some deals on, I know Indian Cowboy, Raphael, Docs, and somebody else has plays up as far as deals up in there. So make sure you follow tomorrow. That gives you all you need to know about the Kentucky Derby as far as breaks down each horse, the odds, the jockey, all that kind of stuff. So, and it's, we worked pretty hard on it. Robert I think he was the guy that broke down all the horses. So we'll have him on Friday as well to talk more about that. All right, let's start in the NBA today. How about that? NBA last night, I think we talked about this before. I think that it's kind of the haves and have-nots, the 1 and 2 seeds, and they have not disappointed. The Celtics haven't disappointed, even though they did lose 1. I mean, the Thunder absolutely dismantled Grizzlies, and then the Cavs last night. I mean, I think there's a reason why the 10 seed shouldn't be in the NBA playoffs, Tony. What night?
Well, I said I gave a free play out on Cleveland first half line. I just said you always worry, even though, it's a total mismatch, just like Oklahoma City against Memphis. It's a mismatch. In that series, Oklahoma City could name the score if they wanted to. Same thing with Boston. Same thing with Cleveland. But I was kind of worried about, Miami wanting to try and somewhat salvage some pride, and maybe Cleveland would pull everybody late and they could get a ugly back door, but they had been killed. At halftime, they've been leading in, I think, every game but one by double digits, and the line was 4.5 in that one. It was right for the fall. But, I will tell you right now that if you take a look at Cleveland and you take a look at Oklahoma City, it's a mismatch in every series until they get to the finals against the number 2 or number 1 seed, depending on East or West. It's going to be mismatches. I mean, they're just clearly that much better. It is the haves and have-nots. There is very little parity when you're pinning the number 1 or number 2 seeds against these other teams.
Yeah, the one worry I would have about both Boston, Cleveland, and Oklahoma City, they're going to be off for a long time. Especially this Clippers series could go 7 games, like very easily go 7 games. Now, I do think the Pacers take care of business tonight without Lillard with that injury, but that could be a worry because if you're off for a long time, that game's kind of hard fought, and they're ready to go. That would be a little bit of worry, especially with the Clippers. I mean, right now, Kawhi Leonard looks like Kawhi Leonard for the Toronto Raptors, and if that dude plays like that, they got to be thinking this does not look like a 4 or 5 seed. That was a 5 seed playing. So we'll see what they do tonight. But hey, Tony, let's start us off with a free play for today. We do have all 4 NBA games tonight. Probably the last time we see this for this season because I think these teams are going to get wrapped up tonight. What do you like here, free play wise?
Well, I put out a video, but I'll give it away here too. I've said this. I watch a lot of podcasts. Of course, I tune into Docs Daily every day first and foremost.
There you go.
But then I got some also rans like on Visa and Sports Grid, a couple of these other podcasts, these sports betting podcasts that I respect and like. And they kept using the term, this is a coin flip game between New York and Detroit. Well, if it's a coin flip, why aren't you looking at the underdog? I mean, you take a look at this series, you take a look at the games. If you watched them, yes, Detroit is down 3-1. Yes, they blew it in clutch moments. They competed the entire game until it mattered. And that's when the inexperience hurt them. And the experience of New York helped them, along with the refs a little bit too, I might add. But that being said, Detroit could easily be up 3-1, just as much as they're easily down 1-3. I'm going to take the points in a coin flip game. I think that they can beat New York at Madison Square Garden tonight? Doubtful. But I'll tell you, if New York wins it and eliminates them tonight, it ain't going to come easy. I'll gladly take the points in the Pistons tonight.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham is like
unreal.
Before our eyes, he's turned into the number 1 pick we thought he would be.
Yeah.
When he's at Oklahoma State, I mean, this dude, you can't stay in front of him, and he's developing that 3-point shot, so you have to get up on him a little more. This Pistons team is going to be a problem. Old Detroit Lenny is going to be really excited about this team going forward.
When he played at Oklahoma State, I went over to Kansas to Lawrence at Fog Allen to watch them play Kansas. And all the recruits that Kansas had, all the number, the guys that everybody wants. They're like Duke and North Carolina and, some of these other schools getting all these great players. Cunningham in that game was a man amongst boys in college. I mean, he was better than anybody Kansas had. He was a one-man wrecking crew. You couldn't stop him. And I looked at my buddy. I was there and go, this guy is top 10 NBA player 3 years into the league. He'll be a top 10 player, if not higher. He's that good.
Yeah, I thought maybe Detroit would ruin him because they were so bad. I thought they might put a saddle on this guy and wear him out in a couple of years. Yeah. But Detroit has started to put some pieces together. Has made some nice little trades and like Hardaway Jr. is a good piece next to him because you got to guard him on the 3-point line. I really like this Detroit team. I think they cover tonight as well, Tony. I'm going to double down with you.
And remember, Craig, and you guys know this, Nick, they were the doormat of the NBA last year. I was winning money like I was freaking stupid fading them last year.
They were the Wizards
beat by
year.
double digits. They couldn't win a game. They couldn't.
Was it 21 in a row they lost or something like that last year?
It was insane. And you just, first half, they'd be out of it in the first half. I was betting first half lines against them. They were down 17 at halftime before, and I'm just saying the job that the job they've done there, coaching wise, to get them from that to where they're at now, and they are somewhat relatively evenly matched to a certain degree with New York. To be able to turn that around in a year in the NBA, that it's just, I'm saying it's saying something. And Detroit Piston fans, it's a young roster. They got a lot to look forward to down the road. So, take your licks, learn your lessons if you must this year, now that you've got this elite status of being a playoff team and you earned your way in there. Now you got something to look forward to down the road. But this is one of the best turnarounds in sports over the last year that I've seen in any sport, in NFL, Major League Baseball. Maybe these guys last year kind of surprised everybody, getting into the playoffs when we were left for dead on the side of the road, like a dead cart. But at the end of the day, this is maybe one of the better stories in sports, and not a lot of people are talking about it. And I'm glad you brought it up.
Well, I think what happens is the NBA's draft, the lottery is meant, this is what the draft is meant to do. The worst team get good players. And if you hit it right, you can, basketball, you only have to have 3 really good players and a bunch of good role players, and you can be good. They've done a very good job. And remember, Ivy, their other number 1 pick, he's been out for, I think, about a month or 2. So, imagine if that guy, imagine the depth they'd have there. Nick, what do you like as a free play here in the NBA? You like any of these other games?
Yeah, we won't talk about that game, but we will talk about the Orlando Magic and these Boston Celtics here. The Celtics laying a number. Celtics laying a number here, Craig, -11.5, but the total is catching my eye here, 198.5. The Celtics, besides the first game, each game has been very competitive. The Magic winning game 3 of this series. Yeah, it's 3-1 here, but this Magic team has been competing at a high level with this Celtics team. Yes, the season's on the line. I would lean more towards this Magic, but a lot of public money is going to be on the Magic here tonight. The Magic, obviously, their seasons, it's do or die for them. They have to score points, and you got to get over 100 points here to even have a chance at winning this game, your last game here. So I'm looking at this over on a 198.5. It sounds crazy. The Celtics at home, they've been producing on the offensive side. I think this Orlando Magic team has to step up on the offensive side. They want to have a chance to win here tonight. So I would definitely take that over. I think they get over 100 points, hopefully, in this game. Hopefully they don't have a letdown like the Miami Heat did yesterday against those Cleveland Cavaliers. Could be, but I think they're playing way too competitive basketball here. I like that overplay tonight, Craig.
Well, Holiday is going to be out tonight as well for the Celtics. So that's, if you like the underdog, I think that's, he is there's a reason why he was on the Olympic team. He's the best guard defender in the league. Yeah. And he can switch on a big guy. He can score. Like, the guy doesn't have any weaknesses. You don't have to run plays for him. So the Celtics are definitely missing him. I gave out a little prop on me and IC's video last night. I liked Tatum over tonight because the one thing that they are playing physical. And the Celtics crybabied about it for the first few games. And now he's living at the foul line. And that's how the Celtics are going to win this game. That's how Tatum's going to probably have 30-plus again tonight. But they're just shutting everybody else down. They're going to say, Tatum, you're going to have to beat us, and you're going to have to beat us, through our physical play. Because, it's the Bob Huggins theory back when he was at my Bearcats. We're going to foul you all the time. They can't call all the fouls. So it really has worked this series. They've really uglied it up, as they say. I mean, they have just made it a dogfight. Tony, when you look at the Celtics, though, like, they look like that championship form, but every guy's banged up. Jaylen Brown's banged up as well for tonight.
Yeah, I think Banchero will have a big night. There's another stud
Yeah.
This kid's unstoppable. He's unbelievable. He's like we've mentioned Cunningham. Here's another guy. I'd be taking a look at his prop on the over, by the way, FYI, and probably Tatum too, because it's going to fall on Tatum's shoulders tonight because they are banged up. And you know what? I didn't watch all that. Did Garland play last night for Cleveland? No. So, they got that to worry about, but they just sat him. They didn't need him.
No.
And they don't need Holiday tonight. I mean, Orlando's trying to make it competitive. They're also remember, Orlando's different away from home. They don't play as good a defense, which leans into Nick's over. They just don't play as good a defense on the road as they do at home. But I think the angles there is right now, Tatum and Banchero, the two best guys on the floor, probably going to exceed their totals tonight. And Boston needs to get healthy because I'm telling you, I know it was the Miami Heat, but Cleveland looked better than anybody in the opening round, beating the piss out of somebody, including Oklahoma City. They looked as good. That team is deep. They're hard to beat and tough at home. They don't lose on the road. They have the best record in basketball. And Craig, you and I talked about this a month ago on this show, that we thought that Boston was going to be the team to beat in the East. Do you still feel that way?
Yep. I still think that.
All right. I'm wavering.
I mean, I think it's going to be 6 or 7 games. It's going to be
7 games. I'd be shocked.
It is going to be
7 games.
Let's remember this year, the Cleveland did split the series. They came back. The 2 wins were 20-point. They were down 20 points twice, both games, and came back and won. So it's like very easily. They still would have had the home court, but what would people think then? So it's like, Boston hasn't had them down 20 points, Cleveland hasn't them down. So I do like that. I wish the Knicks were playing better because I really thought going into this year, the Knicks could give Boston some trouble. They have not this year. Knicks haven't been able to beat anybody good, in fact.
Boston was up that one game like 25-3 at home and lost it.
Yeah, it was
they were up 25-3. They lost it before half, by the way. Then they went up like 16 points in the third quarter and lost it again. And I think that was the game, maybe Jalen Brown. They were missing. Boston's been missing somebody all year long. Porzingis, Brown, Tatum, like they have been just kind of rotated through. If they get all these guys back, I think they're the team to beat. Now, that's a big if because I think Cleveland's just the younger, they're the Celtics and what the Celtics were a few years ago, where they're coming. They're just each year going to get better. And Hunter played unbelievable last night. That trade they made with Atlanta, he played great last night. And no Garland. Ty Jerome last night looked like Steph Curry out there. He had 20-some points. He was hitting step-back threes with guys all over him. It did not matter. So they're a deep team. So it's going to be exciting to watch. I do like I said, I doubled down a little bit with Tony. I did. I do think you take the points there with Detroit. Detroit, like you said, they should have probably won game 1.
Yep.
They should have for sure won game 4, in my opinion.
Yep.
I thought a terrible call.
Yep.
I hate to get on my soapbox, but you can challenge calls the old game. How about you give everybody an extra challenge the last 2 minutes of the game? Because if there's a game winner, I want to be able to challenge, but I don't want to have to save my challenge the whole game,
Right.
So I just think I wish, especially for the playoffs, I wish they'd give them an extra challenge for the last 2 minutes. I know these games last forever, and that's the argument that they don't. Dude, get the calls right. That's all I care about, especially as a bettor. I think August Young was railing on Twitter the other day about because he had the Pistons and he was like, hey, they hit that, I win. But it's a tough thing as a bettor. I do also like this Clippers game as my top play tonight. So we'll talk about the other game, Bucks and the Pacers. The Bucks, the injury to Lillard, I was worried. We talked about it, Nick, right? I said we're rushing him back with, they had talked about he was going to be out the whole first round of the playoffs, and all of a sudden he was available second game. I said, is this guy going to be, in game shape, does not hurt himself? Now, I did not think he'd have this kind of injury, but blow his Achilles out. I don't know how this team comes back. I know they're veterans, but I'm going to take the Pacers in the first half. I think the Pacers are just going to come out and say, hey, let's blitz them. Maybe the heart of the Bucks get us in the second half and get that backdoor cover, but let's take the Pacers in the first half. I do think the Pacers will. Remember, this team was a couple wins from advancing last year far in the playoffs. The Pacers. This Pacers team is better than what people think, and It's time to trade. Giannis, it's time to be traded.
Yeah, it's a knife in the gut right there for Lillard going down. They obviously rushed him too fast getting back on the court, and look what happened. You were worried about his conditioning not being up to par. Well, his Achilles are not up to par there, so it's just a bad beat for the Milwaukee Bucks. I think it's time for Giannis to get out of there this year. They're not rebuilding in Milwaukee, kind of like this Houston Rockets team or a couple other teams are. So it was a good season. Pack your bags there, Milwaukee Bucks. I think this Indiana Pacers team absolutely rolls them. They've been playing great pace of play. All their stars are absolutely stepping up to the occasion too in the playoffs. You look at Halliburton too; he's been absolutely phenomenal in these playoffs. They're not slowing down anytime soon, and you don't got Lillard here in the lineup tonight. Give me the Pacers, lay the points. This series is over, Craig.
Remember, Halliburton somehow found out that Damian Lillard and some other Bucks players picked him as the most overrated player in the NBA in the voting, and he has been going after them. He's not taking this game off just because Lillard's on side. He's going to be like, hey, how's this overrated? So I think he has a big game tonight as well. All right, let's talk. Let's go to NHL. NHL it's been pretty amazing. As I always think the first round can kind of be in NHL can kind of be crazy. You either get really competitive or it seems like sweeps. Nick, what do you like here as a free play as our guru for NHL?
Yeah, I'm still scratching my head from yesterday, Craig, with that Tampa Bay Lightning. How many times you didn't do this to me? They were up with like 2 minutes to go, and then they tie it up, and then they take the lead. Florida Panthers, they're done. Scratch them off my do not bet list. I think that series is over. But let's look at this Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights are minus 240 here on the money line. Absolutely atrocious here from the odds makers. I think they have this price completely wrong. The Minnesota Wild have played very competitive hockey with these Golden Knights. It's a 2-2 series here. Now we're back in Vegas here. They have home court or home ice, I should say here. But this Minnesota Wild team, let's not forget, they play their best hockey in the regular season on the road. They play competitive. I like this value. All the values on the Minnesota Wild here tonight, but I'm going to take them to be safe. That plus 1.5. I see this game going into overtime. I would sprinkle a little on the money line here with the Minnesota Wild. What I'm seeing out of them, I love their pace of play, and they get a lot of shots on net here with that defense. So give me the Wild plus 1.5 to be safe. Sprinkle some on the money line tonight, Craig, against the Vegas Golden Knights.
Well, I'm guessing Guy has the company tickets tonight. And if you guys ever called into the office, you're going to talk to Guy, and he's unbelievable customer service guy. We appreciate him. Can't say enough. But he's a huge Knights guy. So if you call him, maybe he'll give you a little 10% off promo code. Use that Derby 10. I know he will, but tell him go Knights go, and he'll be all excited. So hopefully he has the tickets. We have great tickets there, and it's crazy, this line. Like I was predicting the line first. I was thinking minus 175, minus 180, because I was like, oh, that'll leave open the people that want to play him the three-way line, in regulation. I was like, because at minus 180, you get them at like minus 125. That still leaves that open. At this price, even the regulation bet is probably like minus 170. You can't do that. So the only way you play that game is if you take the underdog. Either plus 1.5 or you take them outright. They did win game 2, let's remember. So, and it wasn't close, right? What was that, 6-2?
I thought it was 5-1.
It was blowout. It was never close. I actually know because I was one of my losers I've had. And
5-2.
5-2. So never close. I think it was 3-0 or 3-1 after end of the first. So it was never really close after that. I kind of like a little free play. I don't understand this. I know New Jersey hasn't really been competitive, but minus 280 in the NHL is just absolutely nuts.
Yep.
Like nuts. Anybody that's laying more than minus 160 to minus 170, first of all, you're never going to win long-term doing that. Just never, ever, ever. Tell them, Tony, never.
Well, you're not. And think about this. These playoffs, these hockey teams, there's a lot of parity, a lot more parity in hockey than there is right now in the NBA, for instance. Yeah. Since we're just comparing postseasons. And there's no team tonight that's favored that should be favored more than minus 150. No, not one team out there, in my opinion. And by the way, I think the over 6 is in play in that Vegas game as well. Just FYI.
Yeah. Any free play here, Tony, in NHL that you like?
That's it. Give me the over in the Vegas game.
and take all the underdog stuff. Well, maybe I don't know how. I think all the home teams going to win every game in the Kings series. It's going to go
when you can get plus 105, when you can get plus puck line plus 1.5, and you can get it around minus 140, minus 150. Frickin' take it.
Yeah. I mean, like I thought Ottawa has a real chance tonight to win that. I mean, Edmonton and Kings are going to be close every game. Every game's going to be close.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be 7-game series with a home game winning every time. The Kings can't win on the road, and they're the best home team. And the Edmonton is like the swings. I bet Edmonton both the home games, and I won both games, but they were down like 89% of both games, and I win both games. It's like, Nick, this is the most exciting team to watch in hockey. It's like they score 3 goals in like what? In a period, and then they don't score the rest of the game. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing with Edmonton Oilers. They get off to really, really slow starts. You've seen it, this whole series with the Kings. The Kings just answered, and they've been scoring goals in this series, but they're back at home. I'm all over the Los Angeles Kings until somebody could come into Los Angeles and outplay the Kings, continue taking these Kings at home. They're a completely different team, Craig.
6 losses on the year at home, right?
Yep.
Something crazy like that. So, I mean, it's obviously, you're always better at home. I mean, almost every team's better at home. But the splits between these two teams, like the home away, is just crazy. So, yeah, I like the Kings. Let's talk baseball, though. Big card in baseball today. Yesterday was a little smaller card and, a couple of big lines, so it wasn't much to bet on. Tony, what do you like here in Major League Baseball? I think there's some little sweet lines here today.
Yeah, well, I took advantage of it. I'm a kind of cherry pick best bets out of baseball a lot. In a run line system play that I use. But today I have 3 picks. I have a 3-pack, 2 3-unit plays and a 2-unit play. So nothing, not going to shove all my chips in on one of these teams, but we got some good solid positions. 2 of them are run line system plays and one of them is a total. So yeah, I did use up that tasty board a little bit as you brought up, Craig, but I did one I passed on that I had circled. I kind of like that over 11 in Atlanta, Colorado. You take a look at the pitchers, bullpens, and how both those teams are hitting, right-handed and left-handed starters. Their numbers are approaching 300 as a team on both sides. I think that's going to go, we're at Coors Field, so I like that to go over, believe it or not. I like that 11's a big number, but I like it to go over tonight.
I like the Braves team total in that one by itself because this Rockies team.
What is
offense, it? I think it's 6.5. Yeah. 6.5, depending on which book. Like I'm telling you, this Rockies offense is downright pitiful. Yeah, pitiful. I mean, when you're not scoring and you're scoring in the altitude, you're not good. And
I'd be shocked if Atlanta did not have at least 8.
I kind of think they might get the total by themselves today.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's just
if you get Colorado to get 4 runs, it's an easy over.
The problem with Atlanta or the Rockies is they continue to use this bullpen because their starters have struggled. Dude, you cannot just keep going to your bullpen. Eventually, you can't. You're going to have to let a guy go out there for a couple innings one of these times and just give up 10 because you can't just. You're losing, so it's like you just wave the white flag a little bit and say, like, "Sorry, dude, you're just going to have to pitch until you get us out of this inning."
Dude, just to back you up, I went and saw Colorado play the Royals here last week. They suck.
Worst. Hey,
I bet you that was an exciting
Griffin's
game.
Not here.
Yeah, that's a bad team.
Griffin, we need to Griffin, you're number 2 team in baseball. I mean, you're the second worst team, but the White Sox are not the worst team anymore, and it's not close. I think the Rockies are the worst team. I think if you usually if you bet the worst teams every day because their plus line is so big, you actually end up being about even. That is not going to be the case this year for Colorado because they're going to get lucky to win 35 games this year. And if you do the numbers, there's just not enough plus money to get you home.
And just speaking of Chicago and Griff, I know Griffin's AWOL today. Nick, he's a huge Chicago fan. You had to be just off tangent. You had to be happy with the Bears draft.
I liked it. I didn't mind it.
Man.
Obviously, I wanted Genty there. I wanted that running back. But now that we have another tight end, you could run dual threats there on the end, what he did all season in Detroit. That was definitely his call there. So we'll see how it shapes up. I think he's a decent tight end. Craig thinks we dropped Warren there, so we fumbled the bag.
They dropped the wrong tight end. Robert was going crazy because predicting they were going to take Warren, and he's like, "We can't take a Warren. We can't take a tight end." And then they not only take a tight end, but they take the second.
Take the wrong one.
In my opinion, the second best tight end. He's probably the best pass receiving tight end, but to me, like, the Bears need to run the ball. They need to run the ball.
Ben Johnson wanted him. That's his guy, so I trust Ben Johnson. We'll see. That's on his shoulders.
Yeah, just because he won in Detroit doesn't matter. You know, he did well with that. I mean, Detroit had a lot of losing years where they accumulated that talent. Like that, they don't have that talent in Chicago. So, and they play in the toughest division. I think they went, you know, the North in both divisions, I think, are the toughest in football. So it's like they're going to have to win, and it's going to always be close games. So we'll see. I wish they would have got a running back or an offensive lineman, I thought. But hey, I had the worst draft. The Bengals had an F.
You did.
F. Like, we took a guy that had 3.5 sacks in 3 years. Dude, I could get 3.5 sacks, I think, now in the way they play football. Brutal. I mean, he might end up being great, but he's not. He didn't deserve that.
That Luther Burden, that receiver you got from Missouri here, I've seen him play a couple times down in Columbia, live against SEC teams. Nobody could cover him.
Yeah, he's a stud. In
the SEC, nobody could cover him. You know,
they didn't have that.
Look, wasn't that great of a quarterback for Missouri this year. He was average at best. You get him a good quarterback, the jury's still out whether your guy's an NFL quarterback or not. Maybe they buy him some time to see if he actually can throw. But if he can, Burden will be open. That guy's a stud.
Yeah, I thought one of the more exciting drafts. Now a lot of it had to do with the Shedeur Sanders, where people just kept watching because they're like, dude, it's like watching NASCAR at Talladega. You're just waiting for the big one. Like, dude, we're going to stick around to the end because what if he doesn't get drafted? You know, of course, the Browns passed on him 22 times, and then they finally take him.
And the Steelers passed on a lot of quarterbacks. They got their chip shoved all in on Aaron Rodgers. They must know
he's coming because
they must.
You had to draft a quarterback. If you didn't think that he's coming, you would have drafted somebody in the 4th or 5th round. Especially I don't know. Shedeur Sanders did make no sense to them because they do not like the flash. They do not like the Antonio Brown didn't make it there. That just didn't work. So that's not their style. I get that. There was a million other quarterbacks though that you could have taken. What was Griffin's favorite? The Louisville quarterback, Schaub or whatever. Griffin did not like him. He thinks he's gonna be.
I hated him. No, he hates him. And
he's as old as you two, though, right? He's like 27 years old.
He's younger. As old as you two. Younger. I'm getting old, Craig.
It's crazy that you don't. Usually, the new thing is they don't like. It's like NBA. They don't like taking old guys because it's that much shorter in the league. Kind of makes sense. They were like, hey, screw it. He's 26 years old or whatever he is. So, all right. Tons of free picks today. Don't forget, as always, every Tuesday, you get Tony George with us here at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time. Use that promo code DERBY10 to save 10% off. Old Tony George has a 7-unit MBA. You're due is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Well, I hate to – I don't bet on things that are due, but we've just had some close calls and but this one here tonight jumped off the board at me right away when the line opened up, over 24 hours ago. I knew it was going to be, and we're making a move. I made a substantial move personally, I'm gonna sink or swim with them, but we're gonna swim. So come on, plenty of money in your wallet after this game to bet the Derby this weekend.
Yeah, and the good thing about the Derby, the more bullets you have, the better, because
that's right.
If you hit a superfecta or a trifecta in the Derby, I mean, an average trifecta maybe pays a couple $100 on average for $2. On the Derby, you're looking at $1,500 plus. If you hit a superfecta, you're looking at $30,000 plus. So, and I'm going to have some plays. I know Raphael, Indian Cowboy, and I know Docs. I know, and like I said, tomorrow we'll have the code, the text number that you can text in the code so you can get your Derby guide. So that way you can at least kind of see the horses, the odds, how to bet them. We kind of give you all that you need to know. So make sure you turn in tomorrow.
Never bet the Derby, but this year I'm going to be looking at you two and Raphael. I'm gonna bet it this year. So let's go.
I'm going to give you a little hint. There's a gray this year that I love. I mean, there's several grays.
That Raphael, I was out in Vegas a couple years ago. He had a big Breeders' Cup weekend. He had a Breeders' Cup card. He emailed it to me. I had $1,600 in play over at Mandalay Bay. I was at Sportsbook over there having some drinks, doing things.
Mhm.
I walked out there with 17 large.
That's the greatest thing.
Because they pay. They had a couple of 17-1 wrapped up with an 11-1 and an exact. I mean, it was
trifecta and stuff.
It was I'm telling you, the guy knows his stuff. I'm not saying that nobody else doesn't know it either, but I'm just going off. Yeah, I'm just like the average Joe when they use us for everything else. I'm uninformed.
Right.
I'm just a casual fan. I don't want to be betting money being a casual fan going, well, $200 or $300 doesn't mean anything to me. I don't like to lose. So I got hooked up with an expert. And I tell you, the guy, he'll win you some money.
And speaking of Raphael, he's going to be on tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned tomorrow. I'm sure he could probably at least kind of give us some leans on the Derby. Maybe we can pull that out of him. And the Derby isn't just about just the Derby. The day before is the Oaks as well, which is the girls' version of the 3-year-old. So very big race. And this year, usually there's only about 12 horses. This year, I think it's 14 or 15. So you know what big fields means? Big odds. So I think we'll be able to pull some nice tidbits out of him tomorrow. So make sure you use that code.
You be sure and tell Raphael I touted him because I want a case of Omaha steaks out of the deal.
Yeah, there you go.
I love that place. Their steaks are great.
There you go. I'm going to be in Vegas in 34 days for my 50th birthday, and I've already got 3 steak. I'm going to be there 4 days, and I'm going to 3 steakhouses. I'm going to try to eat steak every meal, dry aged, ribeye every meal. That's the deal. All right, boys. Great job, everybody. Hope everybody bets are winning ones. Don't forget, use that free 60 right here, DocSports.com, free 60 for new customers. You get Tony's 7-unit play for the night for $30, Nick's play for $30, and it comes with a profit guarantee. So make sure you get in on it. All right, guys. Good luck. We'll see you again tomorrow.